My sister posted a photo of me and my 8-year-old with the caption, "When mistakes raise mistakes." The whole family jumped in, piling on insults, liking every cruel comment, mocking us. But my husband didn't join. He posted this. And within minutes, everyone was quiet. I sat there staring at my phone like I'd just been slapped. Over and over. Same spot. Same sting. I must have read the caption 10 times before my brain even accepted it was real. When mistakes raise mistakes. Under a photo of me and my daughter. My sister had posted it, publicly, on Facebook, with my full name tagged and my daughter's face clear as day. We were sitting outside on the curb, just the two of us. I looked exhausted, probably because I was, and my daughter was in the middle of drawing a rainbow in chalk. I remember that day. It was one of the few quiet afternoons we'd had in weeks. I didn't even know someone had taken a photo. The comments started rolling in faster than I could read them. Someone from high school. Classic Julia. My aunt. Well, what did you expect? A neighbor. This is just sad. Then came the laughing emojis. The sarcastic bless her heart comments. And the likes. Dozens of them. Including from my parents. That's when it really hit me. My own mother. My father. Not just ignoring it, they were in on it. Supporting it. Joining in the fun. My daughter was in the other room watching a cartoon. She had no idea. I just sat there, phone shaking in my hand, and scrolled. Then I saw Natalie's comment, she's my cousin, saying something like, "This is what happens when you treat family like crap and expect handouts." That one hit differently. Because I knew exactly where this was coming from. 2 weeks ago my sister asked me for money. This time for a car. She said she needed it to get to work. I told her no. Not because I didn't want to help, but because the last time I lent her anything she never paid it back. In fact, I later found out she'd stolen from me. She had gotten into my room, taken my debit card, and pulled out $600. I only noticed when I went to buy groceries. I didn't even confront her right away. I gave her a chance to come clean. She didn't. So I took the money back. Literally transferred it back once I got proof and called the police. The fallout was instant. Suddenly I was the villain. Family started calling me heartless. Selfish. How could you do that to your own sister? Now this post made sense. This wasn't just a petty dig. This was revenge. Calculated and cruel. And everyone jumped in to make sure I felt it. Except one person. My husband. Or my almost ex. We were set to finalize our divorce next month. We'd been living apart for 6 months, barely talking. I hadn't heard from him in weeks. But out of nowhere he posted a photo. He showed my sister. In broad daylight. Holding hands with a man that wasn't her husband. No caption. Just the image. Plain. Obvious. And it exploded. Likes, comments, shares. People tagging each other. Someone even wrote, "Isn't that the guy she used to babysit for?" I had no idea where he got the photo. I didn't ask. I just sat back staring at it, and for the first time that day I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was perfect. And then, silence. After Ethan posted the photo, the internet went dead quiet. And not just in the way you hope people will forget something and move on. Well, it was the kind of silence that means everyone saw it and no one knew what to say. For the rest of that day, not a single person in my family posted anything. No follow-up jokes. No half-hearted apologies. Just vanished. The same people who had been piling on with insults that morning suddenly lost their voices. I kept checking the post, refreshing the screen. The likes were climbing, but it was all strangers now. People I didn't know reacting with wide eyes or laughing emojis. A few commented things like, "Damn, karma hit hard," or "This is what happens when you play stupid games." But from my family, nothing. Until comments started disappearing. Natalie's sarcastic little jab. Gone. Uncle Ray's rant about me being a lost cause. Also gone. Even the like from my mom disappeared, but I knew she only unliked it because she'd been caught. She wasn't sorry. None of them were. They were just embarrassed the mess had blown back onto them. That night I didn't eat. I couldn't. My stomach was twisted in something between rage and relief. I had just been humiliated in front of everyone I was supposed to call family. Then my soon-to-be ex-husband, a man I hadn't had a real conversation with in over 6 months, dropped a bomb on all of them in one perfect shot. And I had no idea how he even got that photo. The man my sister was holding hands with? I recognized him immediately. Mark. He was married. With kids. I knew his wife, actually, we'd met at a birthday party once. My sister used to babysit for them back in the day. I didn't know they still talked. But there she was. Walking hand in hand with him like it was nothing. No shame. Smiling. And Ethan caught it. Somehow. I didn't ask him. I didn't message him. But I watched the post explode. I saw the way the silence turned to panic. By morning it hit. At 7:42 a.m. my sister's husband, Ryan, called me. I hesitated, then answered. He didn't even say hello. Did you post it? Oh, you sure? Positive. He hung up. I later found out that about an hour after that call he packed a suitcase and took their son. Left her. No fight. No warning. Just gone. At 10:13 my sister showed up at my house. She didn't knock at first. She stood in front of the door pacing, talking on her phone, gesturing like she was already in a screaming match. I watched through the peephole holding my breath. I didn't want a scene, especially not in front of my daughter. Then the banging started. He yelled my name. Called me a coward. Said she hoped I was proud of myself. Said I destroyed her family. I didn't open the door. 5 minutes later the group chat lit up. My mom. My dad. Natalie. My aunt from Florida who hadn't even been part of the original post. Suddenly they all had something to say. You crossed a line. That was private. You're sick. But I still hadn't posted anything. I hadn't even commented. Then Ethan did. From his own account. No hashtags. No drama. Just a simple line under the photo. Maybe next time think before calling someone's child a mistake. And that sent everything into chaos. People started sharing screenshots. Not just of his post but of hers. My sister's original photo. The comments. The timeline. It all started resurfacing, and this time the sympathy was shifting. Messages started coming in. Some from acquaintances, some from strangers, saying things like, I can't believe your own family did that to you, or you handled that better than I would have. I didn't respond to any of them. I just sat at the kitchen table staring at my phone. And for the first time in months I found myself thinking about Ethan. Not as the man I was divorcing but as the man who just defended me in front of a mob. He hadn't done that once during our marriage. He'd always been the quiet one. Steady but distant. Focused on work, never dramatic. I used to think he didn't care. But now I wasn't so sure. That afternoon I got a text from him. If you want to talk, I'm here. Just say when. And just like that, everything started shifting. Thought it was over. Or at least that they'd back off for a while. The post had done its damage. My sister was exposed, her husband had left her, and no one in the family had dared post anything new. But apparently they weren't finished. They showed up at my house the next day. All of them. I had just gotten back from dropping my daughter off at school and hadn't even taken off my coat when I heard the first car pull up. Then another. Then another. When I looked through the front blinds my heart stopped. My sister. My parents. My aunt and uncle. Even my cousin Natalie, who doesn't get out of bed before noon unless there's drama involved. And they weren't calm. My sister marched up the porch first, banging on the door like she had every right to be there. She shouted my name over and over, then started yelling about the photo. I stood frozen in the hallway. I didn't want to deal with this. I thought about calling the cops, but I didn't want to drag my neighbors into it. So I just waited, hoping they'd leave. They didn't. My mom joined in next, yelling at the door. My dad stood back but didn't stop them. Then my aunt started banging a broomstick against the window like we were in some cartoon fight. My sister shouted that I had to delete the photo immediately. That I had ruined her life. That she hadn't even cheated. That it was just a misunderstanding. And now her marriage was over because I was spiteful. Spiteful. After what she posted about me and my daughter. I stayed quiet. But they didn't. They kept going. Saying I owed them all an apology. That Ethan had gone too far. That I let him humiliate my own blood. And then when I didn't answer they started breaking things. The garden gnome my daughter painted last summer. Shattered. The ceramic bird feeder from my grandmother's funeral. Knocked off the hook and stomped into the porch. I finally reached for my phone. I was dialing Ethan when I heard another car. This one I recognized immediately. His truck. He got out, calm as ever, while the rest of them were shouting, pacing, and now throwing accusations at the windows. He walked right past my dad, who tried to stop him, and up the porch steps. My sister rushed him. Got right in his face, accusing him of hacking her phone, stalking her, destroying her life. Ethan didn't respond. Not at first. He just looked at her with that unreadable face he always had when he was angry but wouldn't show it. Then he knocked on the door. I opened it. He stepped in and shut it behind him, holding it closed when my sister tried to follow. We stood in the entryway for a minute in silence while the yelling continued outside. He looked around the room like he hadn't been there in years. His eyes landed on the photos still on the wall. Most of them had dust on the frames. Some were from happier times. Us on our first family camping trip, our daughter's kindergarten graduation. None had been updated in the past year. Ethan pulled out his phone. It's up to you, he said. I can leave it up or I can take it down. I looked at the screen. The post was still live. Still racking up comments. People were now arguing in threads. Some defending me, others saying family shouldn't air dirty laundry online. But no one had dared defend my sister. No one. I asked him how he got the photo. He shrugged. Said a friend had seen them at a gas station and snapped it. Sent it to him the night before. He hadn't planned to use it. Not until he saw what she posted about me. I told him to delete it. He didn't argue. He just nodded and did it. It didn't matter anymore. Everyone had already seen it. The damage, if you could even call it that, was done. She'd crossed a line and he made sure she knew what it felt like. Then came the pounding on the door again. Louder this time. I could hear glass breaking outside. Someone had knocked over the recycling bins. I heard my mom yelling that she was going to sue us. That I had lost my mind. Ethan opened the door. He stepped out alone and closed it behind him. I couldn't hear everything but I saw enough. My mom was red-faced, gesturing like she was about to slap someone. My dad looked like he wanted to disappear. Natalie had her phone out, recording. Ethan didn't raise his voice. He just said something, a few words, and suddenly it all stopped. My sister froze. My mother backed off. My aunt stopped yelling. Then slowly they left. No apology. No explanation. Just silence and slamming car doors. One by one they drove off. My mom was the last to leave, glaring at the house like it had personally offended her. When Ethan came back in, I didn't ask him what he said. I didn't need to. We sat at the kitchen table again. This time for longer. He made coffee while I picked up the ceramic pieces from the broken bird feeder. Neither of us said much. But I could feel something shift. The same man I had once decided wasn't emotionally available had just stood in front of my entire family and handled a full-on ambush. Not with yelling. Not with drama. Just by showing up and not backing down. And suddenly, I didn't feel as angry about everything that had gone wrong between us. Because maybe, just maybe, it wasn't all wrong. I didn't expect to hear from Ryan. Honestly, I forgot he even had my number. But there it was. A voicemail from an unknown number sitting on my phone the morning after the chaos. His voice was quiet. Like someone speaking from a hotel bathroom. He said he appreciated what Ethan had done. That he'd already filed for divorce and was done being embarrassed by someone who treated loyalty like an option. Then he paused and said something that made my stomach turn. You might want to check the drawer next to your bed. He was there last week. Just saying. I stood there for a second, not moving. Just staring at the phone like it might explain itself. My sister hadn't been in my bedroom. She couldn't have. I always kept the door closed. I hadn't seen her in the house for at least a week before all this started. So I walked upstairs, opened the drawer. The ring was gone. The engagement ring Ethan gave me 7 years ago. I hadn't worn it in months, but I kept it there in the little velvet box. I used to open it sometimes when I was alone, not really sure why. Maybe out of habit. Maybe because part of me wasn't ready to let go. But now the box was empty. No note. Nothing else missing. Just the ring. And I knew she took it. I stared at the empty box for a long time. Not crying, not yelling. Just standing there with this weird kind of cold settling over me. Like I wasn't even surprised. I called Ethan. He picked up immediately like he'd been waiting. I told him everything. The voicemail. The ring. He didn't sound shocked. If anything, he sounded tired. He asked if I wanted him to come over. I said yes. When he showed up, I felt it, that shift again. Like the air changed when he stepped inside. He didn't look like someone you'd expect to defend you in a family war. He never had. He was always the quiet one, the one who stayed calm while I lost it over little things. But now he was the only one who made me feel like I wasn't crazy. We sat down in the kitchen. Same spot as yesterday. He brought something in a small paper bag and set it on the table like it was nothing. Then he said casually, "She didn't pawn it." I looked at him. He pushed the bag toward me. Inside was the ring. He told me a friend of his, someone we both knew through work, had messaged him that morning. My sister had tried to sell it to him. Straight up. No shame. Claimed it was barely worn, and said it had no emotional attachment anymore. The friend recognized it instantly. Told Ethan. So Ethan bought it back. Said he didn't want to make a scene. She really tried to sell my engagement ring for what? A few $100s and a little revenge? I sat there holding it, unsure what I was supposed to feel. It didn't feel like mine anymore. But it didn't feel like hers either. Ethan didn't say anything else about it. He just sat there drinking his coffee like we were talking about groceries. After a while, we ended up eating leftovers together. Nothing special. Just quiet. Comfortable. Familiar. Our daughter came home from school and ran into the kitchen like nothing had happened, like we weren't standing in the middle of a slow-motion disaster. She was just happy to see her dad. She showed him a crayon drawing she made and he listened like it was the most important thing he'd seen all week. Later that night, after she went to bed, I asked him why he even got involved. Why he cared now after so long of seeming like he didn't. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "I cared the whole time. I just didn't know how to show it until someone else hurt you." We didn't talk about the divorce papers. Not that night. We didn't talk about what this meant or where we were going. But when he asked if he could stay, I said yes. And when he took the ring off the table and put it back in its box, I didn't stop him. He didn't give it to me again. Not yet. But he didn't take it with him either. He left it right there on the nightstand, like he knew I'd want to look at it again. And I did. Thanksgiving used to be loud. It was never a holiday I particularly loved, but it was always familiar. My aunt yelling about the oven temperature, kids running around with juice boxes, my mom stress-eating deviled eggs in the kitchen. That kind of noise. The kind that fills the house with chaos but somehow makes you feel like you're part of something. This year it was silent. No call. No text. Not even a passive-aggressive message pretending they forgot to include me. Just nothing. I didn't ask. I didn't reach out. Ethan and I had talked, sort of. We weren't calling it getting back together, but he'd been spending more time at the house. We were figuring things out slowly. He helped with homework. We took turns doing school drop-offs. Some nights he stayed over, some nights he didn't. It was unspoken but steady. Still, on Thanksgiving morning I opened Facebook. I don't know why I did. Maybe out of habit. Maybe to torture myself a little. And there was the first post. My sister standing next to Natalie holding a wine glass with that smug pageant smile she pulls out for photos. Her caption was short. Surrounded by what matters most. Yellow heart. A few scrolls later I saw another post. A group shot from my aunt's dining room. The table was set like it always was, crowded with paper napkins and overcooked casseroles. My mom in her usual seat. My dad beside her. The cousins. Even my great-uncle who always smelled like menthol. But right in the center of the photo they'd left a very obvious empty chair. Between my sister and Natalie. A napkin folded neatly on the plate. A wine glass untouched. A seat that didn't need to be there, but absolutely was. The caption on that one said, "Some people chose shame over family. But we still have each other. #thankful. Hashtag. Like it was a joke. Like my entire life was some reality show moment they could package and caption for likes. And the comments came fast. Cousin Jamie, some people don't deserve a seat at the table, nail polish. My mom, a peaceful dinner for once. One of Natalie's friends, dead weight cut off. Happy for you guys. Even my dad liked that one. I just sat there with my phone in my lap reading it all. I wasn't even angry. Not in the way they wanted me to be. It felt like watching a high school play. Everyone performing so hard, clapping for each other, pretending they believed their own lines. It would have been funny if it hadn't been so sad. But they wanted a reaction. That was the whole point. They expected me to defend myself. To comment something dramatic, to play into it like I always had. To text my mom asking if we could talk. To call my dad crying. To fuel the cycle. Instead, I did something I'd never done before. I opened my friend list and started removing them. One by one. My mother. Gone. My father. Gone. My sister. Walked. Natalie. Walked. Aunt Karen, who'd commented a laughing emoji on the mistakes photo. Gone. Uncle Ray. Cousin Jamie. All of them. I deleted the family group chat from my phone. I untagged myself in every photo from the last 5 years. Went into privacy settings and locked everything down. Changed my profile picture. Scrubbed my name off their digital family tree. And when I was done, I sat back and just stared at the empty screen. Felt like I had cut off a part of myself. But not in a painful way. In a necessary way. Like pulling out a splinter that had been buried too deep for too long. A few hours later, Ethan showed up with a half-eaten pumpkin pie in a grocery store tin. He didn't say anything about the post. He didn't have to. I think he knew what they'd done. He just handed me the pie and asked if our daughter had already eaten. We ended up throwing together a strange little meal. Boxed mac and cheese, frozen meatballs, and the pie. Nothing about it was traditional. But it was perfect. Our daughter made a turkey out of construction paper and toilet paper rolls. She named it Princess Gobble. Ethan helped her cut out feathers while I cleaned up the kitchen. I caught myself watching them more than once. The way she lit up when he laughed at her jokes. The way he listened. The way he stayed. After she went to bed, Ethan and I sat on the couch with the last slices of pie. "You saw the post?" I asked. He nodded. "They're pathetic." I was quiet for a moment. Then I said, "I blocked them all." He looked at me for a second. Then smiled. "Good." That was it. No speeches. No deep moment. Just one word. And it felt like enough. The truth is, they expected me to fight back. To spiral. They expected chaos. But what they got was silence. And nothing scares people like them more than being ignored. Because if I wasn't playing the villain in their story anymore, then who were they even performing for? They didn't take it well. The blocking, the silence, the refusal to react. It made them furious. I didn't hear it directly, of course. That was the point. But things slipped through. Screenshots sent by a distant cousin I hadn't unfriended yet. A burner account message from someone suspiciously named Mary Lou Undeyu, asking if I felt like a big woman now. Apparently they held a little Friendsgiving the next week. Someone printed out my old Facebook profile picture, stuck it on a wine bottle and took turns taking photos with it like I was a prop. Caption: in loving memory of the drama queen we had to block. They were exhausting, truly. And for the first time it didn't feel personal anymore. It felt like a circus that couldn't function without its main act. And now that I'd walked off the stage they were throwing glitter and hoping someone would still clap. I didn't clap. I deleted the message. I deleted the screenshots. I didn't even tell Ethan. There was nothing to say. We were living in a different world now. One where their noise didn't reach us. And the quiet was good. Ethan was over more and more. Not just for school pickups or dinners. He started fixing little things in the house again like muscle memory. He repainted the squeaky bathroom door. Replaced the burnt-out porch light. Brought me a new kitchen sponge without being asked. That's how I knew something had shifted. Not in a romantic movie script way, but in a real way. One night after our daughter fell asleep watching a Christmas movie in the living room, I found him cleaning up her colored pencils off the floor. I was standing in the doorway watching him and something small clicked into place. I said, "You want to come home?" He looked up at me for a second like he wasn't sure if I was serious. Then he nodded. It wasn't dramatic. There were no grand declarations, no passionate speeches. Just a quiet agreement between two people who had finally been through enough fire to understand what mattered. He came home that weekend. No bags. No fanfare. Just came back. And somehow it felt like he never left. We didn't talk about the divorce papers again. We didn't need to. I shredded them the same night, fed them piece by piece into the tiny shredder under my desk while our daughter drew snowflakes on the windows with a white marker. She was happier. I could see it in everything she did. The way she sang again while brushing her teeth. The way she looked up when Ethan came into the room. Like something she didn't know she'd been missing had returned. And just like that we were whole again. Not perfect, but whole. My sister hasn't spoken to me since. Neither has my mother. I expect more posts will come. More games. But they can post until the sun dies out. They don't have access to me anymore. They don't get to steal my peace or my ring or my home. And they definitely don't get to decide what kind of mother I am, or what kind of family I have. That part, that's mine again.